I'm just gonna sit here for 20 minutes fixing my hair. Oh, I can't even get the top of that. Hi, hon. Oh, I picked the squeaky's part of the floor. Hello, everybody. My name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the magical readathon. So today, well, today's actually the 2nd of August, but we're starting the first week of the magical readathon, the Autumn Equinox. Equinox? I'm not quite sure how to say it, but that version of it. I'm so excited. I love this readathon, and I've loved seeing G kind of revamp it these last couple of years, and I'm excited for like the first official fall or autumnal version of it. So I'll leave her announcement video down below. It's a little more complicated, but like the general gist of it is like there's a magical school, you're going to the magical school, and based on what kind of career you want, you can take a bunch of classes in the spring, and then in the fall you take a bunch of grades for it. And so each class has 3 different grades that you can get, and each of those grades is a different prompt. There's like 12 classes, so overall there's about 20 something prompts, but depending on your specific career, you only have a handful to do. I am going to be doing the Master of Elements, so I technically only have 8 prompts that I need to fill, but I'm also going to be doing a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to be trying to fit in the books that were on my TBR for the month that didn't quite fit into the like 8 prompts that I needed for the readathon, things like that. I'll leave my TBR down below if you'd like to check it out. It was very cute. My husband helped me out. I was stressing for time here, and so he recorded it for me. So I'll leave it down below if you'd like to check that out. It's very cute. You should if you haven't seen it. But we're starting this week, and I do actually have like one teeny tiny update. So the books that we're starting this week with, the audiobook, is going to be The Emma Project by Sonelia Dev. This is the most recent one in her Rajay's series, and of course this is one that's not even required. It's in a prompt that's not required for my career, because of course it is. But this one is in the class of shapeshifting, the second grade, like out of the 3 grades, the 2nd grade, and that is a book released this year. This was released earlier, I believe it was in May, but I like devoured this series like in a weekend. There were 3 books, this is the 4th one, and I devoured the first 3 in like a weekend. But the idea behind it is we follow people that are all part of this family, the Rajays. They are a very wealthy Indian American family, and each book is very loosely based on a Jane Austen novel. This one is Emma. So we follow the youngest son, Vansh, Vansh. I'm never quite sure how to say it, but we follow him, and then the girl in this book is his older brother's ex-girlfriend. And they had some stuff happen in the last book, so it's the 2 of them, and it sounds like they are both going to vie for the same funding. And she spent her entire life working to like help maybe impoverished, just like not well-off women in South Asia through her microfinance foundation. And so he kind of swoops in and maybe takes her funding, or possibly could take her funding. So I know this is an age gap romance. I don't think it's a large age gap, but I'm not 100% sure. I am 2 chapters in. I listened to the first 2 chapters on the way home, made it to page 24. And so far so good. I really liked it. It kind of like brought back all the couples in the first chapter in a very humorous way, which I enjoyed. I love these characters. It was really fun just to like dive back in. So I'm very excited to continue with this one. This will be my main audiobook. Again, not required for my career, but it's on my TBR, so we fit it in for something. And then the other one that I am going to be starting later tonight, it is an ebook, and that is The Very Secret Society of Witches by Sangu Mendona. I got this one on NetGalley. It's an ARC that I received. It's coming out later this month. So I have that on my Kindle, and I will be reading that one before bed. I'm trying to be better at my NetGalley ARCs. It's not always successful, but like this is the most recent one, so we're gonna cross our fingers and get this one in. But this one is in for the prompt of the first elemental studies grade, which is to start a book with a drink. So I'm gonna start this tonight with my water, probably. Nothing very, very exciting. We follow Mika Moon, who lives in Britain, and apparently at this time there's like very few witches in England, and it's something that like you're trying to like not do a lot of magic because it brings attention, and so like lots of witches don't like come together. But she has and like one exception, and that is an online account where she posts videos pretending to do magic. And this gets the attention, and she gets asked to come to this place called the Nowhere House where 3 young witches are living, and she's asked to come and teach them how to control their magic. And it says here that not only in this house are her 3 young charges, but also an absent archaeologist, a retired actor, 2 long-suffering caretakers, and Jamie, the handsome and prickly librarian. So it sounds like it's going to be like a romance between her and this Jamie guy. But it just sounds kind of fun, and it's giving me the same vibes of the House of the Cerulean Sea. So I don't know what we're getting into, but it sounded super cute, and I was lucky enough to get a copy, and I'm starting to get some of those fall books. It's August. I know fall's not until next month, but like I'm trying to like sprinkle in some fall books in August because I have a lot and I need to read them. So sprinkle it in, just a couple here and then a couple in September, and then we'll go hard in October and November. But that seems very folly. So that's my plan so far. I'll come back when I've had thoughts, maybe a finished one, maybe I've started the arc, and I could tell you my general thoughts on that one. I don't really have any like grand plans for the week, just kind of hanging out. So I'm excited. I'll let you know when I have more updates. Hello. I've waited apparently to the last possible second to update you on how my reading went this week. I was supposed to kind of update you on like Sunday, I think, because my plan was gonna make it to Sunday, and it's currently Tuesday, so I did great things is what happened. But I do actually have some updates for you. So, as you saw, I was reading mainly 2 books this past week. One of them I did tell you about, and that was The Emma Project by Sonolia Dev. This one, I was the first one that I finished. I finished this one yesterday, and it got 5 stars! We should not be shocked. So this one was not necessarily on like my personal TBR for like what I needed to be part of my career. It was one of like the extra ones that like is technically part of those classes, but is not required for me. That was a very complex way of saying that basically this was not required, but I read it anyway. The prompt that I filled this with was not required, but I read it anyway. And that one was the second, which was the Q in the shapeshifting class, and that was to read a book that was released this year. This was released in May. I adored this book. This is the official finale of the Rajay's series, which I have literally all of them right there. And it's basically this family called the Rajay family, and basically a bunch of relationships in this family that are all loosely based on a Jane Austen story. So this one follows the youngest sibling. He's also the youngest, well, he's the youngest sibling, period, but he's the youngest boy. There's 2 boys and 2 girls in this family. And he is kind of like the wanderer, so like he just wanders from project to project across the world hoping to help people. So like he's got a good heart because all the things that he's doing are like helping communities in need and people in need and youth in need and just like a bunch of things like that. But he like roams from project to project. So it follows him, and then it follows this woman named Nina, who we were introduced to in the 3rd book, and this is kind of like repercussions for her. A lot of mental stuff for her based on what happened at the end of the last book, and just some relationship stuff that is really dark. So I would say for this book, there's always some sort of trigger warning for these books, and for this one, I would say familial abuse. There's nothing specifically on the page. I mean, yes, emotional abuse, but also physical abuse. There's nothing physical on the page, but there is a lot of talk of like the emotional repercussions of stuff like that. So kind of the main plot of this book is that we follow Nina, who has had this vision and had this nonprofit project for a very, very long time. And the point of it is basically they're basically setting up healthcare in Nepal for women who couldn't usually afford it or find a way to get to it. And so she has been promised this grant. And then at the beginning of the book, the guy who gave her the grant discovers that this son, Vanch, who is the youngest of the Rajays, has come back to California. And he's like, oh, this guy, I like him. And so he basically makes them split the fund or the grant that he was going to give all to her. He basically makes them figure out how to split it. And so they're fighting for the same amount of money. And so we follow him, and he works on like his own project, and it's just really interesting because we've got all these characters that we have come to love from the other 3 books. I love seeing them show up. That made me very happy. But there is a lot of deep conversations in this book because Nina comes from like not the best family, and so she has a very strained ties with that. We see, after the fallout of the last book, we see relationships that she has had with Vanch's family, and we see those being strained. There's just a lot about this, but what I loved about this is that not only do we get a story with her, we get like a side plot which follows this cousin named Isha, who has basically been sheltered her entire life because her parents died in a plane crash, and because of that she's had really bad migraines, and like all of this stuff comes from it. And so we see her like kind of get introduced to this guy who like makes her life really easy comparatively, and so it's her, like, they have like a little side thing as well, and I love them for it. They're so cute, and there's just a lot about this book that I adore. I just love this family, and it was so much fun. Like, it took me a while to get into it, but that was because I was doing like 10,000 other things, and I knew I was gonna love this book, so I didn't want to like push myself or like force myself to read it when I wasn't feeling in the mood to read at that moment, because I knew this book would suffer from that. So easing my way, continuing through whatever reading funk I'm in. But this was a lot of fun, and I gave it 5 stars. There is one thing that happens near the end where a character like they've been very adamant about one thing the entire book and then changes their opinion about it, and it seems to happen like on a dime. Is that even the right phrase? It like seems to happen very, very quickly, and I feel like for how stubborn this character is, she would not have switched that easily. I don't know. I like that she switched that easily because like it made the plot easier at the end, but like there's just some things that some of the characters did that I was like, that resolved too quickly. Otherwise, very happy. Sad to see the family go, but I've loved my experience reading all of these books. They're all so good in their own respective ways. They all tackle some sort of social thing. This one is more of a familial thing, as far as like the pressures that parents put on their kids and just the strains of a family sometimes. And then also like the fact that they are doing such good work for like all of these women, and like he has a whole different project, so like his project is even like is amazing as well, and so like there's just all of this awesomeness in this book. I loved it. 5 stars. I am very excited to see what else this author has. I know that she has a series of 4 books that she's written way before this one that's about like Bollywood, and it's like 4 romances about Bollywood somehow. Is that even, I don't know if that's right, but like I want to continue to read this author's stuff because I adored this stuff so much. So 5 stars. But yes, so this one was like on my personal TBR game, as well as, I mean, I made it fit for something for the Magical Readathon, but the prompt I made it fit for was not required for me. But I adored this one. And then you will have also seen that I was reading the 2nd volume of Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith. This one was for something that is required, and that one is astronomy, or like the first class of astronomy, and that is letter L in the title for lore. I finished this one last night and I gave it 5 stars. I adore the series so much. So I started reading the series on the app Webtoons, which is where she publishes it. And, oh, sorry, side note, I forgot I got this. Look at my fun little bookmark that I bought from G for like, I'm House of the Crescent. So like that's the little symbol in the middle. Isn't that stunning? I can't wait to use that. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so she has been putting these out on Webtoons and then like proceeded to continue to kind of put them in print. These are ones that you can read up to online. Webtoons is a free app that you can download if you like this and want to like binge the entire series. I started the series and then like stopped reading Webtoons for a while, and so all of the things that I've been reading on that one, I'm so far behind that I knew I was just going to have to start over again, and then these started coming out in print. So I've decided to go through them via print. That way I can kind of keep up to date that way. And I've now reached the point where I had not read. I think I'd read most of the first volume, and there was a couple of things, I think at the beginning of this one, that looked familiar, but it was really only like the first chapter or like episode or 2, and then like beyond that, I didn't recognize most of this. So I very much enjoy this series. I think the artwork in here is just stunning. I'm trying to find like a good like picture I could show you without like spoiling everything, but like this, like that's Hera and Persephone, and Hades is blue, and it just like, I don't even know how to explain to you like how absolutely beautiful these characters are, but I love everything about them, and I love the art style, and I love this take on the Greek myth Hades and Persephone, and I love the adultness of this because a lot of retellings kind of skim over some of the bad stuff that happens in Greek mythology, because Greek mythology is not good, especially when you're talking about people like Zeus. So like the fact that there are some things in here that are talked about, like there's a content warning at the beginning of all of the volumes that I have noticed, to basically tell you kind of what you're expecting. And so this one specifically deals with mental and physical abuse, sexual trauma, and toxic relationships. And so there are definitely some things in here that, based on what happened in the first volume, is a little sketch. And I like that while it's hard to talk about, Rachel didn't like skirt away from that. So I very much enjoyed this. This, like I said, is a retelling of Hades and Persephone, but like the idea is it's more modernized, and they are gods and goddesses, but Persephone has basically been sent to Olympus for like school, and so in order to like do that, she has an internship with Hera, and Hera basically sends her to the underworld because she sees how Hades reacts to her. And there's a huge age difference between the two of them, like inhuman age difference, but like there's just a lot of stuff that like they talk about, and I'm not sure where we're gonna go, but like some things happen in this book that has been putting a damper on the relationship between Hades and Persephone. That's not really a relationship, but like I already ship them from page 1, so like I already have feelings. But I'm obsessed with the artwork, I'm obsessed with the story, it's Greek mythology. What else do you need? I gave it 5 stars. Are we surprised? And then I did start the Magic Misfits, which is, this is the third one. It's the minor third is what it's called. And it technically also doesn't fit any prompts for my TBR, or like I could fit it in for a Magical Readathon prompt, which I did, which was for the last astronomy prompt, which was multiple people on the cover. And of course I don't actually have the cover, but it's got all of like all 6 of the kids that this book follows. But like the idea behind this book is that we have 6 kids who are friends. They've created this magic club. They call themselves the Magic Misfits, and they've also been like dealing with some bad guys from like book 1. And so this is just the continuation of it, and I'm barely into it. Like I'm in chapter 5, which is about 50 pages in, but I love these books because first off, the illustrations in them are just so fun. It's also fun for people who really like sleight of hand magic, because there are these how-to sections which explain certain types of magic that they are doing in the book, so you can like play along at home. And I just really like NPH's writing style. I think he's really funny, and he narrates the first book, but each book is in a different perspective. So this one is in Theo's perspective, and he is the violinist of the group. So he's got a violin, and his like act or his magical thing is levitation. So he kind of plays music and things levitate. So not far enough into this one to really have an opinion, but I liked seeing all of our characters again. The plot has started to move a little bit because like a couple of things have happened that like could set things in motion, but I don't have a whole lot to say, so I'm hoping to finish this one next week. We'll let you know in that vlog, but that's really the update for this week. Oh, I did read the first chapter of A Very Secret Society of Witches, and I'm loving it. It's giving me all of the witchy contemporary vibes. It's already giving me vibes of House of the Cerulean Sea, which I kind of expected based on the synopsis of it. So hopefully I'll get some more done. It just depends on when I can actually like sit down and physically read. But I haven't had a whole lot of that time here recently. So I'm hoping to get more of that done because it comes out well, it doesn't come out until the very end of August, but like I'm really loving it so far, and I'm literally a chapter in, and I'm already loving the writing style and everything, so I would love to get this done as soon as possible so I can give the author and review my full attention. But so I have started that one, but like really not much of an opinion on it, just really enjoying it so far. So those are kind of my updates right now. I finished 2 books, which I'm very excited about. Only one of them was technically one that I needed, so I still have 7 books, I think. I think there are 8 books total that are like required for my career, so we'll see what we've got. I'm excited. I'm feeling the fall vibes already, like even though it's very hot outside. You wouldn't tell because I'm in this giant hoodie, but it's very warm outside. But inside it's nice and cool. So I'm feeling all the fall vibes, so hopefully we can get some of those fallish books that I've sprinkled into this TBR in. But that's really about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed what the first week turned into. I'm honestly not even sure what videos I got and what footage happened this week because like it was so scattered. But I hope that you enjoyed whatever this vlog turns out to be. And also let me know if you're participating in the Magical Readathon. How was your first week? Did you have any success in your readings? Please let me know. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!